Yeehaw! Hello, everyone. What is going on? It is my Xbox and me. We are back with a brand new episode. Everyone's gonna be like, "You changed the intro. This is no. I'm not interested. This is terrible." No, I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Mr. Toothbrush Crash.
Hello, I'm the least American. Well, not the least American, the second least American person on this podcast now.
We'll get into all that, and of course, the one and only Mr. Paul D. Spawn.
Yahoo! Howdy, y'all.
Yeah. I was expecting a yabba dabba doo. Like, what the hell? What are we doing here, boys? What are we doing? I know we're off for a little bit. Time zones are all over the place, but yeah. For those who don't know, I am currently in Texas, enjoying my 2-week holiday. Having a fantastic time. And the reason Chris says that I am more American than him now is I have finally shot a gun. Yes, I have done it. I went to the shooting range this week and I shot a Glock 9, I think it was, or it might be a Glock 17. I don't remember which one. Crash, guns are scary, bro. Scary. Have you ever shot one?
No. That's
You
why
ever
I
held
said
one?
you're more American than me. What was that?
You ever held one?
Oh, I've no interest.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Teaspoon, would you do it if you was out here?
Probably for the experience, in the same way you have, like, definitely shooting range,
Controlled area, training.
highly supervised. Give me one single
Yeah.
bullet, at a time.
I didn't have a single bullet.
No, you're full round.
My clip held 17 bullets.
Damn,
Fix
son.
was disappointed they didn't give him the extended mag. Is what Fix
I
was.
did say,
hair trigger.
excuse me, where's my red dot? Where's my silencer? Where's the extended mag? How are you expecting me to go 20-0 with this? No,
mean,
of course not.
You've got to
use
unlock
guns
those.
responsibly. Yeah, exactly. Use guns responsibly. But yeah, I had a great time. It was I don't know, it's one of those experiences I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. Obviously, playing video games. Obviously, we know a lot about. That's what I was saying to the boys before we started. Like, weirdly, if you've played Call of Duty, X Defiant, Battlefield, whatever, you probably know a lot more about guns than you think. And yeah, strangely, which makes perfect sense, right? We play games for their realism and everything that it gives us. The only thing a video game can't prepare you for is not the kickback. That was fine. It's the loud noise. I can't believe how we watch these Hollywood films, right? And we're like diving across the screen. Bro, their eardrums would have been blown out in a second. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, but that's what I've been up to. I've been on the ranch. I've been hanging out with the horses. It was my birthday yesterday, so I got to go and hang out on a boat on a lake, which scared the shit out of me, because as most people know, which they were talking about in my Discord, I'm scared of open water. So
It's where the sharks
that
live.
wasn't. It's where the sharks live. It's where the leeches are. It's where all the weird stuff is in the water. You see those every now and then. We see those videos of like this alien-looking fish that pops out of nowhere. I have the fear that fish is gonna eat me. So
I mean, it's
A lot
it's
of
a
them
healthy
do
fear.
have. A lot of them do have really big teeth. To be honest with you,
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's been a good trip. It's been a really good trip. I've been able to work. I've been streaming still, which has been cool. I'll give a little shout out to Elgato. Like, not sponsored, no hashtag on all that bullshit. But yeah, I'm using their Neo microphone and their Neo Lite. And oh my god, I'll make a video on it when I get back. But really, really impressed. So yeah, not sponsored, but thought I'd mention it anyway. Like, if you don't know, this is My Xbox and Me, our weekly Xbox podcast right here on youtube.com/MyXboxandMe and all podcast services. Remember, you can get the show early, patreon.com/MCFixer. Support the show financially. Go check us out over on YouTube, Twitch, and go follow us on Twitter as well. A lot of stuff happening. One thing I will say, now that I'm out here, I do feel like once I do get back fully, I do feel rejuvenated, which is nice. I do feel like I've got you know what it's like when you have a holiday. You come back and you're like, okay, I'm ready to tackle the world. Now, will that be beaten out of me again in a week? Possibly, but for right now, I've got a lot of ideas in my head. I'm ready to get back on that horse per se. See what I did there?
Horses, ranch, yeah.
Idiots. But I am officially 32 now, so that sucks.
You don't look a day over 31 and a half.
I know. Thank you.
I love the half.
Topic of the show, boys. What have we got? I have, again, Despawn's going to read the news this week just because I've got one monitor and can't really click anything. Despawn, what are we doing for topic of the show this week, dude?
Should we go with the official Xbox numbers for some of their games recently? So Xbox Studios, so Xbox Studios have recently announced player numbers for some of their big hitters. This came courtesy of Clobril over on Twitter, or X. So just a quick run through. We have Starfield at 14 million, the Overwatch franchise at 100 million, Grounded, one of my favorite games, 20 mil. Microsoft Flight Sim at 15 million, Forza Horizon 5 at 40 million, Sea of Thieves at 40 million, and Fallout 76 at 20 million players. Those are some big numbers.
Yeah, it's interesting. So this isn't sales, this is just number of total players, right?
Yeah. So this is just their player numbers. So this will include Game Pass players, obviously cross-party players, so things like Sea of Thieves that's on PlayStation and PC. So this is just the Xbox Studios player numbers.
But this includes free weekends and things like that as well, right?
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Interesting.
I would have thought so, yeah. Anything to bump those numbers.
Are we impressed with these numbers? Are we surprised by these numbers? I'm surprised the numbers have even come out. I'll be honest.
I think that's my biggest
last
shock.
week we spoke about it, right?
Yeah, we're saying that they never talk about their numbers anymore. It's just about Game Pass is doing well and that's about it.
I think they do actually player numbers is the only numbers you generally get out of Xbox.
Yeah.
Because it is a very vague stat that doesn't tell you how many sales it does. And a lot of times, I don't want to say it makes a game seem like it overperforms, but with Game Pass and stuff like that, or even something like Overwatch saying it has 100 million players, you're counting Overwatch 1, you're counting it as a free-to-play game, you're counting all of that in that number. You can boost up the appearance of a game, not to say the numbers are not impressive regardless, but on paper it looks better than otherwise, right?
Mm-hmm. I think we've learned that with all games, right? It doesn't matter how many free-to-play weekends you do. It doesn't matter if the game's even free-to-play. It's still hard to get people to download and play your game. So the numbers are definitely impressive beyond what we're seeing. What's the one that stands out to you most that you're like, that surprises me? I think for me, it would probably fall out 76, if I'm honest. A game that on the surface we all kind of, not all, but a lot of people didn't enjoy when it first released. But then again, they got us to play it. It did launch in Game Pass. No, it didn't. I don't think it did.
No, it launched before.
It didn't launch in Game Pass. You're right. It was out before. No. But yeah, I think that number, was it 20 million?
20 million.
You said 20 million. Pretty decent number for Fallout 76. How much of that do you think came after the series, though?
100% a lot of it. I think I can't remember the number, but I'm sure I saw an announcement that the player numbers at the time had gone through the roof after the series had come out, which makes total sense. Obviously, big new popular thing will kind of entice people to check out old related thing. But yeah, no, the big one for me, weirdly, is Sea of Thieves. I knew it was popular, but I didn't know it was 40 million popular. But again, we did have reports that, it was one of the fastest numbers in pre-orders for PlayStation when that came out. So yeah, I mean, these are all good numbers though. The weird thing, I don't know, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Grounded is the one that I was surprised by.
It's probably the biggest I just don't see people. I know you pretend to like it on the podcast, Despawn. But what you get, bro? You played the game 6 times. Come on.
I have played that game multiple times.
Don't make me bring up stats. Yeah, don't make me start bringing up stats. Damn podcast.
I will get the stats. You talk. Yeah, I'm with you. You talk. I'm getting stats.
7 times.
I'm with you, Crash. Though I'm with you. Grounded to me at 20 million. You don't hear people talk about that game.
Yeah.
In the way that you would expect of 20 million players.
It has more players than Flight Sim, right?
Which is
I would have assumed that Flight Sim would have had more players with Grounded with the way people talked about Flight Sim. Which means for me, I probably undervalue Grounded quite a bit for Xbox. So yeah, that's easily like for me, like just looking at this is the most impressive shock value. Maybe Starfield is on a little bit of a lower side than I would have thought, but it's still earlier in that game's lifespan, so it's not like 14 million is still a good number. I'm not saying it's not.
It's a hard one, right? Because like all these numbers are super impressive, they're super interesting, but you know what would be even more interesting? Knowing how much people bought. Like to know how much of this is split between Game Pass and again, I know it'd be a very small number, but like this counts people who get review codes and things like that. I want to know that, and that wouldn't be anywhere near 1 million, so don't worry about that. But probably you got to think less than
less than
5,000, I would say.
Yeah, like marginal in these numbers. I'm going to say the one thing I was going to say earlier was the flight sim number is interesting for me. Because is this just the modern iteration of Flight Sim, or is this the Flight Sim franchise? Because Flight Sim's been around forever.
The fact that it says Overwatch franchise, I would have assumed that this is just the most recent Flight Sim.
Yeah, the 2022-23 version of it.
Yeah.
Which
is pretty impressive. Again, it's a niche game. It's a niche game, but the thing is, you hear people talk about Flight Sim. At least I do in my circles. You hear people talk about Flight Sim, where you don't hear people talk about Grounded. Like Grounded came after that initial. What was it? It was early access. People were like, this is a cool game. We hope it gets fully fledged out. Even when the big update did come, I jumped in. It didn't pull me the way it wanted it to, and then it kind of came and went. Is how it feels to me. Clearly, it clearly isn't just that. Again, I think I'm also skewed a lot as well by Twitch. Obviously, for me, I base a lot of my entire life off of how well something is doing on Twitch, meaning how many people are streaming the game. Even if the game isn't doing crazy numbers, just the amount of people that are streaming the game is always interesting to me. And Grounded just never picked up a Twitch audience viewership, really. It had its moment when it first launched, but you're pulling faces. It didn't. It never sat. When a game like the First Descent come out last week.
Yeah.
Number one, it's in that first list. Grounded came out and never hit that first list.
Yeah, I think Grounded was kind of, with that one, I think it was a bit of a different one because obviously coming out in early access, people played that for a while, then moved on to other things. And then by the time the 1.0 release came around, I think people just like, cool, more Grounded. It's just, all the bells and whistles are there now. But to answer your question from earlier, have I put any time into it? My current stats say I've put almost 8.5 days worth of playtime into that.
Oh, shit. That's actually pretty good.
So, I played a lot of it. Yeah, so
okay, you did play a lot of it.
Over 200 hours.
Yeah, it's not many hours, right? Yeah, so I put my hours into that game, and what I was gonna say is like while the numbers weren't there, the community that is there is very dedicated to that game. So whenever I would stream it and I go raid another area, like the people that would be playing that were like very committed to that game. Like you see some of the things that they're building in that and the different things that they're trying, and I follow some channels around the game as well who very much like still to this day are still doing stuff around it. I think that number doesn't surprise me too much, but I think from the outside I could see why it would.
I think an important takeaway is also that it's just general player numbers. It's not like player numbers who have played an X amount of time with these games as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can play 1 second. I
count for Fallout 76.
Yeah. Well, how much did you play for Fallout 76?
Well, whatever me and you played for like 5 minutes. or whatever.
We played a tiny bit. Yeah.
We
played a tiny bit. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I hope Xbox can start being a little bit more transparent with numbers, good or bad. I just think. I think a transparent Xbox is so important for our industry. I think it would go a long way with the fan base where they have had a lot of mishaps in certain departments, which we'll talk about soon, I'm sure. And this seems like a good thing to do from Xbox. Good or bad, let people know how things are going. And then, because you know what it's like, we look at Capcom, right? And again, we haven't got on the news docket, so I'll transition into this right quick from now. What's that new Capcom game that just came out in Game Pass? What's it called? I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, Kinitsugami Path of the Goddess.
Thank you, bro. I saw the reviews come out for it, and it's doing 8s, 9s, you know, and I'm like, holy smokes, I weren't expecting that. And I was just like, God damn it, another game I've got to play now and check out because Capcom don't miss. Capcom don't miss, and that looked like a game. I know Crash pretended to like it for a little while.
I went in and out, okay, with that game. Sometimes I saw certain gameplay aspects. I was like, that looks cool, and then you see other stuff, and you're like, tower defense stuff I don't know about with this game.
Yeah,
I'm really interested. Again, we'll get into what I guess. Let's transition into what's been in our box now. I guess. Unless anyone's got anything else to say on numbers.
No, I think I kind of echo what you say. It'd be nice to see more numbers from Xbox, just to kind of give us an idea where they're going. But I guess they're never going to do that. They've never unless they've got an out and out 100% win. I don't think they would shout about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, what's been in our box? Crash, kick us off. What have you been playing, dude?
I played Flintlock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tried Flintlock. It's essentially like a Souls game, more like Bloodborne than like a Elden Ring or something like that. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I could tell by the way you said you played it.
Yeah, the story is just the combat feels a little clunky, and I don't think it's actually clunky. I think it's some of the stuff they give you, like they give you this like outer magic jump, like double jump ability and stuff like that, that makes me want it to feel faster, but it's still like a Souls game, so it feels a little bit slower. That makes it feel clunky. I think that's just a difference in like how I would want it to play versus what it actually plays like. So take that bit with a grain of salt. I don't think the story really is super engaging in that intro section. I don't think it got me to care for the main character. It didn't get me to care for the world. It didn't get me to care for the main plot. So there's just like nothing in that opening bit for me that is sort of like gripping me to continue and try to play the game more, unfortunately.
Yeah, I put some time into the beta or the demo when that dropped, which I think is basically the opening section as well. And all of the issues that I have sound like they've been echoed by all the reviews I've been seeing for it. It is very like the intro feels very loose in regards to story. Like it basically just throws you in. Here's some like backstory that makes no real sense, and yeah, enjoy shooting things and playing Baby's First Souls. Like, I didn't find the combat that interesting, especially coming off the back of like. I know it's hard to put them up against like the big ones in the market, but like the fact that I'm currently still playing through Elden Ring and then coming into that, and it's just like it's night and day difference on how like reactive everything feels. It just I can see why a lot of people have been giving it like middle of the road reviews, and it kind of sounds like more of the game is doing that.
Transition onto that, 75 on Metacritic. I gave it a 7. A lot of 7s out there. Is that a middle of the road review? I think it's better than a 5. Like
it's good.
I think people forget there are numbers below 7 that the game can get sometimes in our industry.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. But I think a middle of the road review, I'd argue, is something like the average median of that a game gets, and most games get like a 7. Yeah,
You're right. I've played way fewer video games while I've been away than I expected. Didn't play a single game on the plane, which is crazy. I had my stream. No, so I ended up watching a Mark Zuckerberg documentary.
I'm so sorry.
Which. Hey, no, I like being informed by certain things. And I ended up watching. What else did I watch? I watched. There's a thing called Clipped, which was about the Clippers owner who was a racist.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, so I watched that. But anyway, I haven't really played any games where I've been at it other than X Defiant. But yeah, to stick on Flintlock, I want to try it out. Obviously, launched in Game Pass. Xbox haven't now this third-party day one Game Pass game yet. What's the
Liza
Can
P?
you name me Liza P? Okay. Yep.
I think you can make an argument for Wulong if you wanted to.
We didn't enjoy it. Well, I mean, I didn't.
I'm not saying that I would put it up there, but I'm saying you can make an argument for it.
Yeah.
Other than that, third party first day, Power World.
Okay, no, yeah, Power World is you won with that one. Power World is the last big one. No, yeah, that beats my argument really. Power World, yeah, 100% Power World. Yeah, it's just a weird one, right? Like, who's going out and signing these games? And obviously they're seeing them way earlier than how we get the game when it finally comes out. I don't think this is a bad game to have day one in Game Pass.
No,
but it is an interest. I guess it's that weird thing though, right? If you believe in your game enough that it's going to get 8, 9s, 10s, and it doesn't need a huge player market to be successful, why would you want to sign with Game Pass? And then if you've got a game that is like this, where you're like, it could go either or, right? This game could have easily have been 8s, 9s, or it could have been the 6, 7s, which it ends up being. Yeah, I'll still try it out, just so I got an informed opinion by the end of the year. Is it hard then, Crash? Because I didn't realize it was a Souls-like.
I wouldn't say the opening's hard. I don't know if it gets more difficult the later you get into the game, but it didn't seem super difficult.
Yeah, from what I've seen of boss fights and stuff like that. Yeah, I can look that up.
It's 11 hours.
Oh, okay.
11 hours. I checked when I on how long to beat or whatever the website's called.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. So you won't be beating it, Crash?
No. I might sit down and try and play it one more time, and if it gets more enjoyable, maybe I'll put the whole time into it, but I don't think so from what I played.
Fair enough. Anything else you've been playing?
Nothing new. I think that's about it as far as new games go.
Do you, Spawn, what you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of games. I've been filling all of my free time with video games at the moment, and one that I've not got to. But yeah, so the main ones for me, specifically for this, Dungeons of Hinterberg. Just launched in Game Pass. I heard a lot of good things about it, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to check it out, see what it's like, see if it's worth, my time. 100% worth your time. This game is a ton of fun. It is very much like that equal parts. I think it kind of has Dungeon Crawler meets Persona vibes to it. So it's got a day cycle to it. So you can only do certain things at certain points of the day. So you go dungeon crawling in the day, which is more like a Fable open world, hack and slash kind of dungeon crawler than anything else. So it is very much, you get magical abilities and things like that. And then, it is very much in the evenings and the afternoons, you will go around town making friends, building up your friendships, and doing that will then lead to odds unlocking new abilities. I got one where I could then use a secondary magic ability from making friends with the local blacksmith. I talked to an old professor who then taught me the ability to get more mana powers. So as you build out those kind of friendships, it kind of leads into the day when you're doing the dungeon crawling. The puzzle elements of all of the dungeons is really fun and interesting. So the way that it works is there's 4 different areas, and each area has its own magic ability that you can use in that area only. And all of the puzzles are built around that, which is a ton of fun. So I had one where it was all wind-based abilities. So I'd use a tornado to avoid traps. Or I would then get one where I could summon this big magical exploding ball, which would allow me to use that to destroy walls and find my way through different buildings. It is a genuine ton of fun. I love the art style as well. I think the art style's gorgeous. It's very...
That's the biggest thing that's putting me off, is the art style. From what I've seen of the art style, I don't love it.
From what they've shown and when it plays, I think it feels a lot better as you're playing it. When you finally get to meet more characters and run around in that world, I think it's a lot more fun. But yeah, I can see why it'd be a bit trepidation to jump into it, but I would definitely recommend checking it out. I'm having a ton of fun with it so far. And then the next game that I guess is the main one, obviously Elden Ring. I beat Morgott. So I am just on my way to the Fire Giant. So I am slowly but surely pushing through.
Good luck.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm getting there.
This is where I remember. This is where I
This is where you tapped out and got a second player.
Got to the I'm done. This is where I got to. So good luck. I'm proud of you though, because we've had conversations through your Elden Ring journey, and you very much were ready to quit a while ago. So I am proud of you.
Yeah, I made it to, what level am I? I think I'm like 87, 88 at the moment. So I've got a bit more grinding to do still.
You're probably a higher level than me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just built different. What can I say?
True.
And then finally, my big obsession of this week has been Once Human. I think it's we talked about like how Grounded is one of my perfect games. I think this is better. Like for me, I'm not saying it is a better game, like one of the best games in the world, but I think it is like all of the elements within this game are tailored for me. So it's got the crafting, survival elements. It's got really good gunplay. I love all the elemental designs, like with the monsters and some of the boss fights. I think it's like that very eldritch horror design, and yeah, it is just all of those different elements come together really well. Like I've spent. There was a point I think yesterday I was gonna stream for like early afternoon, but I was gonna stream something completely different. But I thought I'll just fire up Once Human for an hour just to kind of like play. 8 p.m. I was like, right, shit, I should probably go live. And then I went live with Once Human and played again till like the silly o'clock in the morning. And I'm probably going to do it again today. But yeah, no, it is so perfectly me for a video game.
I was going to actually start playing that. But then I heard you can only create one character and you can't like transfer servers or whatever the case is with that.
No, you can transfer servers. You could definitely transfer servers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about the multiple characters thing. I think you can only create one character. But you could. I know for a fact you could definitely transfer servers. I've seen people do that already.
Okay.
That's
not too bad then. Well, that's what I was waiting. That's why I was like, I heard all that and I was like, I don't know what server Fix is going to pick. I don't know if Despawn's going to be playing it. I don't know.
This is very much a me game. This is very much everything I've seen from this game. I'm like, holy shit, it's a me game. But to transition to what I've been playing constantly, XDefiant has got me by the gonads. Like, it is ridiculous how much this game has rejuvenated my... Not only just, again, it's hard because when something's doing well for me, I'm obviously going to be higher on it compared to when something isn't doing well for me. And that that doesn't actually reflect the quality of the game at all. Obviously, I'm streaming a bunch of XDefiant. I'm a streamer for Ubisoft. A lot of that community now just watches me play XDefiant. Like, it's been fantastic to see. But XDefiant, for some reason, dude, that game... has just, I don't know whether it's the simple, I do know. It's 100% the simpleness of that game. It's literally, it's not too many attachments. It's not too many guns. It's not too crazy meta. Here's the best meta build and Like, don't get me wrong, that exists because there's different forms of attachments, but it's not as crazy as like Call of Duty was. They hit that double XP. They number one, they up leveling at the perfect time. They did the double XP weekend at the perfect time. And yeah, they've been making a lot of changes as quickly as they humanly can. We had a big problem with the spider bot for a while there, and it literally, you were dead. If you got hit with a spider bot, it was game over for you. They've now reintroduced being able to shoot that off your face. Obviously, we got the new faction, which is the GS Commando, which... that's been fun. Some people hate it, some people love it. I think that tells me it's a good faction, if I'm being totally honest with you. When something isn't... If everybody loves it, it means that it's probably it's OP as hell. And if everybody hates it, it's not good enough. When you've got a good balance of like, I really love this faction, I really hate this faction. Like, okay, that's probably where you want it to be honest with you. But yeah, like literally every day I'm waking up, I'm just like, XDefiant. And yeah, definitely is a portion of that because it's doing well on my Twitch channel. It means that I want to play it more. And that's kind of where I'm scared because Once Human's out and I'm like,
I want to play it.
That could definitely be, that realistically, everything I've seen of that game is like, that is a MC Fixer game. Like, I'm going to love that game. And not only that, the First Ascent, I still haven't, I put an hour into it, or an hour or two into it, when we were going to play it, and I still think we should go back and play it before the end of the year. But it does definitely feel like people have moved on from that already.
Yeah.
Like it had that 2 weeks, and it's like a lot of free-to-play games, it has the 2 weeks, and then it just seems to, it finds its audience. I'm not saying it hasn't found an audience, it definitely has, but like that big conversation around it seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that, because I think the numbers were good, like really good. Like, did they announce that like they got 100 million players in a week?
Yeah.
So like, it's not like there's not people playing it. But yeah, I don't know what the longevity is on that, and the kind of like in the zeitgeist, as it were. But
I think with that, we're going to see update cycle and how those updates feel, and how grinding in the long term feels for a game like this, and also like how quickly they can adjust, which they did put out an update. There was a farming method that they introduced with their first new strike, or whatever they call it, or I don't know exactly what it is. But there was a farming method that was really good, and players really enjoyed it. And so what they did was like, hey, we see people are enjoying that. We're not going to nerf it because it's giving you more rewards than intended. What we're going to go and do is all the other farming locations, we're going to go and buff those and try and equal them out. So I think
okay, so that's really cool.
I love this. This is kind of my mentality when it comes to like first person shooters as well. Is like, don't nerf everything, buff everything else. Like, stop making the good things rubbish. Make the rubbish things good. And I think that's kind of like what they're doing.
Unless it's a PvP game, and PvP games, like, you do have an issue where if something's OP, it can be too much. Even in PvP games, though, I do think you have to find a balance of keeping stuff fun and all that stuff. But in a PvE game like this, I 100% like think something's busted, as long as it's not like super, super busted and you're like getting 1 million XP per minute or whatever the case is, and you're completely breaking the game past all intentions. I do think buffing other stuff instead of nerfing everything to the ground is the move in general. I think this is something that Destiny suffered for a really long time, where like they'll just nerf a lot of stuff instead of buffing stuff to be more fun and compete with the things that are good. Destiny tends to be like, hey, we're going to draw stuff back and sort of like even the playing field, but Destiny also has a PvP method or aspect to it, which unfortunately I think goes into like their sort of whole planning ideology with that game as well. But yeah, I love that. Like, I think if they keep that up, whether I play now or I might jump in later once they fix some, like, change core mechanics or they add a character or something like that I could see, because I didn't play Warframe right away, and I still enjoyed that at some point when I did jump into it, and I can see First Descendant being that sort of game for me at some point.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Cool. I got one more thing I did want to touch on, which we haven't talked about. I don't think we talked about it last time, but this time, again, another great opportunity. Concord. The open beta is this weekend. I jumped back into it. This is a weird one. I put a tweet out about it, like a big long tweet. But basically, I love Concord. I think it's amazing. But I do think, like, for an FPS, like, it feels like everything feels great, but I don't see there being any longevity to it. And I think that's the problem. Like, when I say it feels amazing, I feel like just like the moment-to-moment gameplay
mechanics
feels fantastic. Like, the abilities are great. All the characters are fantastic. I think they've got a really good bunch of characters out here that nothing feels too overpowered. But I just feel like there's no kind of progression to it. And there's no kind of like, there's no reason to keep coming back to it apart from the core gameplay. Like, with other games like this, in this kind of genre, it's always feel like, well, you're grinding towards the next thing. You're going to grind to these cool skins. You're going to grind to this, going to grind to that. Doesn't feel like there's that. It's like, once you've played 3 or 4 matches, you've basically played all of Concord. And if you like, if you don't want to spend all of your time playing that same loop, then there's nothing new here.
From the conversations I've seen online, it's been very much, it's a great game that's going to have no players.
Yeah.
That's what I keep seeing from people, is like, what it's missing is a player base. And it's like, oh no, I feel like PlayStation have really done this game a disservice by not putting it on Xbox as well. Where we're seeing the gaming landscape very much change, right? Like, again, whether you agree with it or you don't, whatever, that's your opinions, and I've got mine especially. we are seeing the games industry change, and a few extra thousand people playing your game can be the difference between it being alive or dead. And I do think holding it back from platforms like Xbox could see, and PlayStation have not got it right. I can't remember the last good multiplayer game PlayStation had published / developed. They've never been the place to go for multiplayer experiences from a first party or even a third party publishing. They just haven't. Like, the last good PlayStation multiplayer, I think people would argue would be Last of Us.
Yeah.
Really loved that.
Yeah.
And then look at Last of Us 2. We were waiting, it's cancelled. So PlayStation just never seemed to get it right, and it's weird because you can have, like you just said, right? It doesn't matter how good your core gameplay mechanics are. If nobody is there to play them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing with this. I haven't played the game. I guess today would be my last chance to check out the beta, right? I think I've got it installed on my laptop, which I'm using right now. So I might quickly boot it up after we do the pod just so I can see what people are talking about. But yeah, it's a shame. I really hate it when this happens to games. When games come out and they're as good as they are and they just don't find a player base. Yeah. And that seems like what the case is here. Is this closed beta though?
No, this is open beta.
No, it's open. Yeah.
Ooh, that's even worse.
I think being on Xbox definitely would have helped it, but I don't even think that's the game's issue. I don't think the game had a long enough time in between being shown off and it being able to play. I think that time is so short and it wasn't what people expected the first time, where I do think you have to show that game like 1 or 2 more times to get people more invested, instead of like show it once, announcing that it's a PvP team-based shooter, people not liking that, and then just dropping the beta on them, and then that getting lukewarm results as well. And the game is not too far out from coming out on top of that. Like, I don't know at this point what they could do, because like that first impression and that first moment and that sort of build up before somebody plays the game is important. Where it's gone, so it's the way they've done it. I don't know if they can sort of rectify that in any sort of way to kind of save Concord at this point.
Yeah.
Granted, I hope the game does good. I don't want the game to do bad. I think it seems cool from what I've heard people talking about it. It seems like a game that I would enjoy as well.
Yeah. I would 100% say this would be your kind of game. I like, if people are down, I'm down. If later on, if we want to run some Concord, I'm up for it. But yeah, there are some massive glaring issues, like the lack of a training section for learning the characters is just egregious for a hero shooter. Like, how are you supposed to be a hero shooter without teaching people how to be the hero? Is wild to me. And then there is zero, I know it's a beta, but like there doesn't seem to be any kind of elements to stop people just disconnecting from games if they're losing. And there's no kind of
have that issue with Next Defiant as well.
Yeah, there's no repercussions to it. It's like if you're losing, you just disconnect and leave, and then you just start a new match. It's just like, what? Like, there has been so many, and I don't think it's a detriment to the game. I think it shows how good this game is. But if you are down a player, like, it automatically can turn the tide. Like, no matter how good you are, like the way that it is so well balanced between the characters. Like, if you are down to like 3-4 people on your team against a full squad of 5 working together, like, you 100% are going to lose that match. And it's sad because I don't want to be the person that quits out on everyone else playing, but at that point I know I'm not going to win that match. But I could just have fun playing with the characters, so it's okay.
That's why I sound like Fortnite's so amazing, right? Like, you always feel like you're getting rewarded no matter what, and that's what games have to do. You have to reward the player no matter what. If they win, lose, draw, anything in between, you have to keep rewarding the player to keep them engaged, to want to make it to the end of the match no matter what. So, yeah. Very interesting. Interesting.
I do feel like, again, the beta is kind of showing it, like the lack of any meaningful rewards in the game as well. It is very... So they do a couple of things where they do... it is cosmetic mainly that you will unlock. But then they also do secondary versions of characters as well. So, like, you'll have your base character, but then you'll get a secondary version which has, like, slightly buffed versions. There's one called Lennox, which basically plays like a hunter from Destiny. So with a hand cannon, so you're running around with a hand cannon and the secondary pistol, and then you've got a dodge mechanic and a throwing knives as your like main ability. But as you get a secondary version of him, you get more ammo per like round, as it were. So where you start off with 6, you'll get 8 now. So like they get like these minor like upgrades to the characters. So I guess that's how they're gonna sort the progression, but it doesn't feel very meaningful. So like I've been running around with the secondary version. If I switch to the original version of him, it feels exactly the same.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anything else, players? Anyone been playing anything else? We all good?
Yeah.
All right, let's get through this news so I can get back to my holiday. Come on, let's do this.
All right, let me jump into the first bit of news. The first one is FTC is calling Microsoft's new Xbox Game Pass standard tier a degraded product. This comes from Tom Warren over at The Verge, who says, when I can find my mouse, where have you gone? He says that the FTC is calling Microsoft's new Xbox Game Pass standard tier a degraded product in a filing with the US Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. The FTC claims that Microsoft is exercising market power post-merger of Activision Blizzard. So for those who didn't see the news last week or has missed us talking about it, basically this is the fact that Xbox have now announced a bunch of new tiers across Game Pass with increased prices and some of the tiers losing access to certain elements of Game Pass. So the day one play, day and date for all of their new first-party titles, some of the tiers not having online multiplayer, and various things like that. But yeah.
Microsoft's also responded to this, and I forgot to include it. I'm going to read the quote from Microsoft. Earlier this month, Microsoft announced changes to its Game Pass subscription service, Game Pass, to provide consumers valuable options at different price points. Microsoft is offering a new service tier, Game Pass Standard, which offers access to hundreds of back catalogs and multiplayer functionality for $14.99 a month. It is wrong to call this a degraded version of the discontinued Game Pass for console offering. The discontinued product did not offer multiplayer, which had to be purchased separately for an additional $9.99 a month, making the total cost $20.98 a month, while Game Pass Ultimate's price increased from $16.99 to $19.99. The service offers more value through many new games available day and date. End quote. Was their response to the FTC's claim.
Well, excuse me. I only just realized that this was even a thing. Like, I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he was saying, I was like, oh, like, I've got Game Pass, you're fine. He's like, oh, yeah, but you don't have gold. And I was like, and he said gold, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what do you mean I don't have gold? I didn't realize you had to buy the separate between the two. Yeah, so I only learned that after all of this.
So, yeah, it's a weird one. So it feels like they're kind of, like, when you think of it like that, it doesn't feel so bad. But on paper, it still looks not great. Bad. It's still bad, yeah.
It's bad. I'm not one to side with the FTC, I'll be honest. I'm not, like, I really am not. And yeah, I was definitely the corporate apologist of like, give Xbox what they wanted. I was the fanboy on Twitter and on the podcast being like, just get this done, right? And once again, I said how many times on this podcast, I'm not talking about the FTC ever again. Here we are once again. Yeah, I do kind of agree with them that whether or not Xbox, once again, Xbox have done a poor job then of explaining what their product is.
Yeah. The fact,
because if I'm an everyday Xbox user and I didn't even know some of this information, that tells you everything you need to know, right?
We are an Xbox podcast that should know all of this information, and it's so badly like advertised that we didn't even really understand it to that end. Because, like I say, on paper, this looks like it's, you know, just streamlining the availability of online Game Pass, day ones, all that kind of stuff. Like, the way they've gone around it, though, is very bad. And the fact that it's taken an FTC appeal and them responding to that to confirm, oh, actually, no, it's not that bad a deal. It's like, why didn't you tell us that in the first place?
The objective of Game Pass was never to give you access to multiplayer. So I think the whole like argument to me is moot. Like, it's kind of a fucking irrelevant to me, is because Game Pass started as a subscription service to play games, and the online and multiplayer aspect got like wheeled into it later on. It wasn't there at launch, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong with that. So like that whole defense is just sort of, I think is just kind of lackluster. Like, yes, it's additive, but the main selling point of Game Pass for the longest time was day and date launches. So like it is with all extent purpose, like with any way you can describe it, it is a degraded experience for Game Pass. Yes, you get the added benefit of multiplayer, and I get that, and that's great. And some people enjoy that, whatever the case is. It is, by the base value of what they used to claim Game Pass was, it is a degraded version of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're in 100%. I'm in 100% agreement with you, Crash. It doesn't matter how they try and gloss this up. Yeah, no. Like, Xbox just, like I say, they seem like the Simpson meme, you know, of when Sideshow Bob keeps walking under brakes and it hits him in the face every time. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. The FTC are not going to be able to do anything about it. It's too late. It's over. It's done. The merger's happened. The money's been exchanged, you know, all that good stuff, you know.
You say that, like, it is an appeals court, so, like, if somebody feels there is merit to this argument, that it could drag on even longer. But
there is merit to this argument.
Yeah.
I hate that. I don't care what anybody says. I do. My opinion is that there is merit to this argument. They did become more powerful, and which nobody is disagreeing that the price of Game Pass shouldn't have gone up. With the extra added value that is going to come to Game Pass. That isn't the argument here, especially with the powerhouse, which is Call of Duty. The argument is, on the $14.99 tier, just make it day and date with everything else. Console subscribers should be able to get day and date games the same way that PC subscribers can. That is it. That is the only problem I have here. I have no problem with the fact that I have to pay £20 a month or $20 a month for Game Pass PC and console.
Yeah.
But give me the option. The same price, it should be the exact same pricing for PC as it is for console. Especially considering, especially me as a legacy customer. And I know they're doing the thing where you can technically still get it for a certain price if you still have Game Pass, yada, yada, yada. I don't even have it anymore. I cancelled it instantly. So it's like, for me, it's a case of like, I'm not even worried about it. I'm not dealing with this anymore. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation to be had nonetheless. And I think Xbox are doing exactly what we were scared they were going to do, if I'm honest.
Try monopolize. Yeah.
Monopolize and then charge it down to the customer.
Yeah.
It sucks, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
And
well, go on.
I think it's important to say, like, it's not without argument that, like, Game Pass still has a ton of value at all these price points. It's just a swaying from what it originally was to a degree where I don't like. For me, any marketing for Game Pass that now includes day and date is bad marketing because it's not accurate to what Game Pass is anymore. Like, you can't include that sort of messaging for me.
Yeah, it's now.
Well,
like
you know what it will say though. It will say Game Pass Ultimate day and date.
Yeah,
but people are not going to see the tiny brand that says Ultimate.
Yeah.
It sucks. Moving on, Despawn. Moving on.
More Xbox bad news. We've got Xbox's marketing boss on why it is to be tenacious to fight for funds. So weirdly, I think for the first time I've been around, we are now quoting from marketingweek.com.
Marketing Week. Let's go, baby.
Despite being owned by one of the biggest businesses in the world, Xbox's EMEA marketing boss says the brand needs to be quite scrappy when it comes to securing marketing investment. Quoted, from a funding point of view, we need to work really hard against our competition, says EMEA marketing director Michael Flatt. Sony's PlayStation is the brand's biggest competitor in the console market, and regrettably, they outspend us, Flatt says. They're blessed with marketing funds that we're just not able to enjoy, but that's totally fine. We adopt what I would like to call a more fiscally responsible approach to media investments. Yeah. So
well, this is a no shit Sherlock moment, isn't it? Yeah. If we're being honest, we've noticed this for the entirety existence of this podcast. If we're being totally honest, we've all known this. This has been a known thing. I'm 10 years in, right, on this journey of content creation, and the more you're around different companies, you see how people operate differently. I've said it from a base level as a creator, right? getting a code for a game from Xbox is a fucking headache. Like, whereas, you know, we're a dedicated Xbox podcast and can't even get review code sometimes. So, and you know, so it doesn't surprise me that their marketing, the way they do their marketing, is a headache as well. It is weird, but I guess it's one of those things where, like, Microsoft is such a big company. How many hands does it have to pass through before it gets to where it needs to get to? And that's always where the issue lies, which is the left hand feeding the right. You know, you've got the marketing team who are probably like, we need more, and Microsoft going, yeah, but we make enough here, and here. Why do we want to spend more?
Yeah.
You know?
Very much, yeah. It definitely feels like you say, it's like the grand scheme of things. Like, I mean, we could give you budget in this one area. So, like, EMEA is Europe, Middle East, and Asia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it's very much a case like, well, we could do that, but we do enough market in America that kind of gives us enough brand awareness to do the work that we need it to do. So why would we give you money to just do the marketing in your area when we've also got a global regions. Yeah, we've also got a global team that does stuff as well. Like, you know, we just do it on Twitter and it's fine. You know, we just do an activation over there and that reaches everyone.
I know. Let's do a Deadpool controller. That will do it. That will make everything better, right?
Yeah. Oh, did you see the stuff about the Deadpool controller? It's just an attachment on the back. It's not a real controller.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. It would have been.
I mean, it'd be awful play.
Yeah, exactly. I don't hate that.
Let me just play my controller like this. Yeah. Full on giving you the claw there. But yeah, no, this, I mean, it makes sense. It's just sad to see that, you know, like when you're fighting for market share and, you know, you want to like market your games in the best light possible, and like try and compete with your direct competitor on all levels. And it's just like the fact that they're not doing that, it's kind of telling a little bit.
I mean, again, I can speak about the European region, you know, very well. We go to the cinema, you see PlayStation ads. You walk down the street, especially in London, on a bus, you see PlayStation ads. You go on the tube, and you've got the advertisement boards up on the trains. You see PlayStation ads.
Yeah.
Only when Xbox have something huge do you see, and I mean,
Starfield,
you know, huge Starfield and, you know, Halo. Then you see Xbox come out and throw a few bucks behind it, but you can always tell it's lackluster. You know, like they did it obviously when they were fighting for the FTC. They did it all over England. There was a bunch of great ads, and you know, now we are where we are. So yeah, it is a shame, and I'm interested that this gentleman was allowed to even come out and say this. Is my big takeaway from this. Maybe
he's heading for retirement, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to burn some bridges on my way out the door.
Just maybe not, but it is a very interesting quote. You don't hear much come out of Xbox camp like this.
No,
really.
No. Never comparing themselves to the direct competitor as well. Which again, they've said in the past they don't see Sony as a direct competitor, and then they've got the bullshit. And then they've got the marketing director coming out like, "Yo, our direct competitor, we don't spend enough."
They don't mention PlayStation by name. To be fair, it is just our competitor. It's a very generalized statement. You can take that however you want. Maybe they're talking about Nintendo. Maybe they're talking about Steam. Who knows? Maybe Amazon.
Yeah.
I think I think this is an interesting statement that, like Fix said, we all kind of knew. I don't think this changes my want for more marketing just because Microsoft says they can't have it. They still need more marketing at the end of the day. And I'm sure that if they were to have a string of games that were to do well for Xbox, that marketing budget would more than likely increase. So hopefully with the slate of games that are coming out and are hopefully after that, we do see a marketing budget increase and we do see some more approaches to marketing. Yeah.
If we see a successful Fable, if we see Gears' success, I'll use those two as the main two. Like if those are both successful, and I'm talking knock out the park successful, the industry loves them, 10 out of 10s. Maybe we'll see more change in Microsoft's approach when it comes to Xbox, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Microsoft's going to be looking at critical acclaim. I don't think they care.
No. I'm not saying just critical acclaim. I'm not saying. But I do think it helps. It's way easier to market a 10 out of 10 game and your approach to the next game thinking, because you can go, if you have a look at PlayStation, right? Like PlayStation have Last of Us. Last of Us comes out and it is what it is. And obviously they had Uncharted before that, but like that's they are always aiming for a 10 out of 10 game, and then they're able to market the game appropriately because of that. Xbox right now, like, look, we can go back and look at Bleeding Edge. Oh yeah, we can put some marketing bucks behind this. Like, hell no, we're not.
They did behind Redfall, so they could have. I get what you're saying, but there's like the distinction here is that I don't think Microsoft cares about that. I don't think Microsoft cares about how marketable an individual experience is. I think for Microsoft, it is like, is it making X amount of money that marketing would increase from sales and stuff like that? And the answer is no. That's why most of the marketing is all Game Pass, because that's, I assume, where a big fluctuation of Xbox revenue comes from at this point is through Game Pass subscribers.
Yeah, I think they've got. I don't know if they've built a rod for their own back, but it definitely feels like sales and accolades and stuff like that have become such a secondary thing for them nowadays, and that Game Pass is their sole. Not, I won't say sole, but it seems like their major source of like success metrics is like, how many people have we got paying for Game Pass every month? Which tier are they on? That kind of thing, rather than it's like, is this game doing well? Is this game a 10 out of 10? Is this game selling enough units? I think it is very much, for better or worse, is the main argument now is like, how does this progress Game Pass? I think they're so far into it nowadays that this is like, it is getting to a point where it's too big for it to fail. And I think like everything leads into making that bigger and better. So like say the 69 billion on Activision, the however much, I can't remember the figure it was for Bethesda. Like those purchases, and they're not about getting those 10 out of 10 games. They're about getting that value add to Game Pass nowadays. And I think everything is leading into that. So like, again, if the marketing is there and is needed to get that, I think we'll see the money for it. But I think the Game Pass marketing is going to trump anything else at this point.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I've got one more bad bit of news for you that is not specifically Xbox related. So this is Mortal Kombat's mobile game is shutting down a year after launch as the developer NetherRealm is suffering layoffs. So this is taken from IGN. As spotted by users on Reset Era, NetherRealm developers took to LinkedIn to announce they'd been laid off as part of what looks like the gutting of the company's mobile team. One affected member of staff said NetherRealm's entire mobile team was shut down. This team operated live services on multiple titles, including Mortal Kombat Mobile, Injustice 2, and Mortal Kombat Onslaught. So yeah. Not
surprising. Like, I number one, I didn't know Mortal Kombat had their own. I didn't know NetherRealm had their own mobile team.
I didn't know there was a Mortal Kombat Mobile.
Yeah, and I didn't know Mortal Kombat Mobile was a thing, if I'm being totally honest. So, not a huge surprise there. I don't know. It feels like an interesting conversation. Like you've seen now, phones are getting more powerful, obviously, every single day. And I'm a saddo. I even got my iPhone 15 to play Resident Evil on mobile because I play Resident Evil everywhere. But it hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out now for them, for Mortal Kombat. It hasn't worked out for Capcom. Obviously, the last reports were Resident Evil 7 mobile sold 2,000 copies. People don't want to play those type of experiences on mobile. We're good with streaming it, but we don't want to pay the added cost of whatever it may be to play those experiences. We're too invested in our ecosystems, I feel like Xbox need their Xbox app, and then I'm able to play Resident Evil through that, which then gives me achievements, or Steam or PlayStation, whatever the case may be. That's how we like to, I don't think you can overstate that experience, if I'm honest. Like, people enjoy achievements, people enjoy trophies. And you're not gonna get my mum or dad or my uncles and aunties to pick up Resident Evil 7 just because it's on mobile.
Yeah,
like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It very much feels like you are trying to advertise to the people who've already played it. Like, if you have, it's the same with VR. Like, the VR was such a niche thing. It's like you have to be a dedicated fan of that to get it. So, like, you are the dedicated fan of Resident Evil, so you've picked it up to try it out. But it very much feels like if you are a Resident Evil fan, you have already played it on console or PC. If you are a Game Pass fan, you've probably tried to play something on cloud streaming, and that's been a good enough experience for you. The numbers start dwindling the further down this list you get, and by the time you get to dedicated players on a mobile device of a AAA game, it's like we see, it's in the thousands across the world. And it's like it's a hard sell.
Yeah,
I think also with mobile, like you see it with like a lot of the mobile gacha games and stuff like that. The games that are like really popular on mobile that you could say are like a little bit more in depth. So like Genshin and things like that, is that those games are playable on really old devices. If you want a game to be popular on mobile and sell a lot of units on mobile, you have to have it playable on multiple devices. And that's sometimes a little bit more difficult to do with newer games that they're trying to port over to PC to make it playable on those like low end years old devices.
Well,
a lot of them have, a lot of them have
Resident
a more
Evil, you
recent
need an
requirement.
iPhone 15.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest barrier for mobile entry, on top of like they are old titles as well. So like who's going to go to mobile to play an old game as well? Yeah, but if it wasn't Resident Evil, take away the Resident Evil. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no chance. Look, I'm just a fiend. Don't. That's why I saw this 2,000 copy thing and I was like, oops, awkward. I'm part of the problem. My bad. I'm sorry.
There's a list of people who bought the game fix, and you're on a very short list somewhere in a Capcom office somewhere.
Yeah,
It's
they
been
know
my
your
entire
name.
career, mate. Making the short lists, making the short lists. I'm there. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. I think you'll see this happen more and more. Where these games are going to come out, people think they're going to find great success with them, and they're not. And we're going to see a lot more mobile studios and support studios and things like that die because of it.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, to be fair with NetherRealm, like their mobile games have done well for the length that they've been out with. I think Mortal Kombat Onslaught's the most recent one, and I don't know how that one's done, but the other ones have run for years and continue to get updates for years. So like, I don't want to say that it's a complete failure, but I do think there's a shift also around mobile gaming as well, where some of those like AA older outdated mobile experiences aren't going, where you're getting more mobile games that play like full games as well, that it's more difficult to just sort of put a mobile version of a game out.
Agreed.
Yeah, I guess again for me, this is a case of like the technology is now getting to the point where you can play these fully fledged games. Are you gonna have a dedicated mobile team any longer to support that, or is it going to be part of your main development team who then work on the mobile port because the technology is good enough to play that version of it? It's like, why would you have a dedicated team that the main team can do that work as well?
Well, to quickly interject, it's the same thing as like porting a game from Xbox to PlayStation to Xbox. But we're gonna eventually get to the point, right, with mobile devices where the port team does the port. Like it'll be a smaller team within the main team that will port over the game, right?
Yeah. To be fair, the NetherRealm games aren't ports.
No, I know they're not. I know they're not. I know they're not.
They're dedicated mobile games.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we'll see that anymore.
Got it.
Yeah. I think eventually you will see. You'll see they'll do the cost analysis of like, okay, I'm sure Capcom not happy with the 2,000 copies, but they'll add up like, okay, we think we're going to sell this much. It's going to cost our team this much to port it over, and it will net out at this. And then studios will start making decisions based on how high their temperature is of their camera. But we'll see. For people not knowing, Despawn's camera's gone off because it's too hot. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be an interesting one, nonetheless. It'll be an interesting one. Should we move on? What we got? What we got next?
I've got good news. I'm in the dark. I am here still. Hello there.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, good news. Bethesda Game Studios is joining a union. So this was taken from Twitter. This is Code CWA is the union. They have announced that we are excited to announce that workers at Bethesda Game Studios have joined Code CWA, forming the first wall-to-wall union at a Microsoft Game Studio. The workers consist of 241 developers, including artists, engineers, programmers, and designers. Microsoft has recognized the union. Bethesda Game Studios produces games including Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Starfield. And then a quote from the Mandy Parker, the senior system designer and now member of CWA. We are so excited to announce our union at Bethesda Game Studios and join the movement sweeping across the video game industry. It is clear that every worker can benefit from bringing democracy into the workplace and securing a protected voice on the job. We're thrilled to get down to brass tacks and win a fair contract, proving that our unity is a source of real power to positively shape our working conditions, our lives, and the company as a whole.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend to understand it all, but good for them. If this is something that they think is going to help them, again, me and Crash talk about it at length. I don't understand how, in the country I'm in right now, you're able to just fire somebody. One day you got a job, next day you don't, and then that's it. Like, it confuses the hell out of me. I've never understood it. I couldn't work like it. I'm like, straight up. I struggle as a freelancer, who has to work on contracts to contracts. I couldn't imagine that being my day every day of, okay, today could be the day I get sacked because I've put a pen in the wrong spot. And my boss has just been like, you're out of here. And I'm not all jobs are like that, but yeah, it's good for them. I'm happy for them. And I'm sure we're going to see more of this across the games industry, especially with the closing of so many goddamn studios and stuff like that. I don't think this will become the norm eventually in our industry.
As it should. Like, I think, the protections that a union can offer to the workers, and you say that combined bargaining power, cannot be understated, especially, like you say, in America, where, like you say, at the drop of a hat, you can lose your entire career, as we've seen thousands and thousands of times over the last year. And so seeing Microsoft being very open to this, because a lot of companies will see this and be like, no, we're not accepting your thing. It'll take lots of arguments back and forth, but Microsoft's like, yeah, no, that's fine. Start a union. You're all good.
Maybe it's maybe eventually, again, this is still quite new, right? Maybe eventually it will help bring a lot of different talent over in the game space for Microsoft, because they're going to go, well, a lot of people are talking about unionization across the industry, and they're like, well, our big studio over here at A doesn't have it, but Microsoft does. Yeah. Interesting. Maybe I should take a job there.
I think, I don't think it's going to be a case of like a wholesale conversation, like, oh, everyone's going to go to Microsoft now. But I think there will definitely be moments where it's like, right, company A is asking me to move across the country to join their publishing or development team or whatever it is. But also Microsoft are asking the same thing. But I know if I go to Microsoft, I've then got those added protections. If anything goes wrong, they can't just drop me 2 weeks into my contract and be like, yeah, no, we've changed our minds. So again, unions are good things in my eyes. I'm sure there's arguments for and against, but the net positives are for them. I mean, like we say, we talk about the UK and like the rights and that we have as workers. It is very much like those were fought for by companies like unions and things like that. So support your unions if you can.
Crash? Nothing to add. I agree with everything you guys said. We support unions. Unions are good.
Yeah, we just wanted to hear from the second most American
from
person
the Americans,
on the podcast.
from the second most American on the podcast.
Look, the most American on this podcast, cover the topic. Like, what am I gonna add?
True.
Yeah, good plan. Good plan. You're out. Yeehaw.
Yeah, indeed. Figs.
Yes.
It's time for Guess That Game.
Guess that game, baby. I am MC Fixer. I am the host of this week's Guess That Game. You guys, if you don't know what Guess That Game is a segment on the podcast where both Crash and Despawn will be asking me questions. I will answer them with yes or no, and they have 1 minute and 30 seconds to guess the game. The scores are sitting at this. We have got, if I can find it, Crash is currently sitting at 8 points. Matt is currently sitting at 3 points. Despawn is currently sitting at 4 points, and I am sitting at 6 points. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, give me 2 seconds to get the game up.
No worries.
Can you can't see on my reflection, can you?
Nope.
No.
Okay, all right, good. All right, okay. Wikipedia is up.
Slightly. Okay.
Wikipedia is up. Here we go.
I'm not trying to. I can say, quick question. What's the URL for the Wikipedia? Just so I can bring it
up. Good luck. I will get your timer up. Yeah, please come on. Let's come on.
Who's starting us?
Despawn is gonna start.
Okay.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2. Oh, sorry, I started the clock too soon. 3, 2, 1, go.
Xbox exclusive?
No.
Major publisher?
Yes.
Okay. Xbox 360 originally launched?
Yes, it was on 360.
Action adventure?
Yes.
Activision?
No.
EA?
No.
Capcom?
No.
Square Enix?
No.
Ubisoft?
No.
Is it a type of game that I would like?
Yes.
Is it a type of game I would like?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what other major publishers we haven't gone over. Puzzles? Does the game have puzzles?
No.
Is it shooter?
Yeah. They're shooting. Yes.
Okay.
Multiplayer?
Yes, but don't focus on that.
Okay. First person?
You're at 1 minute. Yes.
Sci-fi?
No.
Blizzard?
No.
Fantasy?
No.
Platforming?
No. That is time. I'll give you both one question each.
What's the game?
No.
Okay, no. All right. Crash, you got a question? Because I am very lost.
Sega?
No.
Okay. So, just to touch on it, so it launched on 360.
Yep.
It's one of the major publishers that we didn't name.
Yes.
It has shooting in it.
Yes.
There is multiplayer, but that's not the focus.
Yes.
First person. Not a sci-fi.
Yes.
Not sci-fi.
Not fantasy.
Not exclusive.
Nope.
Not exclusive.
You're going to be kicking yourself. You're
Probably.
both going to be kicking
Completely
yourself.
Stumped on this.
You're both going to be kicking yourself.
I'm
going to push you for answers. I'm going to push. Go on, Crash. You go first.
I go first. So it came out on 360.
It did.
I'm gonna say like Counter-Strike. There was a Counter-Strike game that came out on 360. I got no clue.
So you're
a major publisher? I don't know.
I wouldn't have counted Steam as a major publisher.
You wouldn't know.
But
Okay.
It is not Counter-Strike. No.
Okay. I honestly don't know.
I'm on
You gotta put out a question. Despawn. You can't.
I'm just
keep
gonna.
going.
Yeah, no. I'm just gonna put a game out there. I'm just gonna say, Army of Two.
EA, that would have been. No.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll give you one huge tip. You know what? You both got it wrong. I'll give you one huge hint, and we'll see if you get it. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's all good.
Think about where I am.
Yeah.
In Texas. Oh, Red Dead. I don't. That doesn't. Red Dead Redemption is a third-person game.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're right. I said first person.
This freaking guy.
Shit. I'm on holiday mode, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. That's on me. I'll give you another one. We'll do one more. That was on me. That was on me.
That's the craziest thing ever. Because I was like, oh, it's definitely a Rockstar game. And then you said it's first person.
I'm sorry, guys. You're right. Do you know why? Don't worry about it. I'll give you another game. I'm sorry, guys. I'm on holiday mode.
Where Fix thought was Fix with the gun, and he was like, I was at a shooting range. That is first person.
Yeah, that is first person, man. That is crazy. First person. All right, go again. I've got one. All right, ready?
No.
Same
go.
order.
Xbox only?
No.
Okay.
Major publisher.
Yes.
Rockstar?
Yes.
Is it a modern game?
Yes.
Does this one have first person shooting in it?
It does have it, yeah.
Yeah.
It came out Xbox One generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it all based in one major city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you happy with yourself? That's the question. That's the one I got.
No, I'm not happy with myself.
I'm just going to say the word Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stop the clock. This is
stop the
stupid.
clock.
You can both have a point. All right, it was Grand Theft Auto. I'll give you both.
Oh, wait, what? I was going to say Max Payne. Okay.
Oh, shut the hell up. Gresh, you have got 9 points. Despawn, you're on 5. I am on 6. And Matt is on 3. Let's get into the questions and get the hell out of it, boys. Come on, let's do this.
Okay, so first question is from Anubis. He asks, as excited as I am for Star Wars Outlaws, I don't think their claim to first open world Star Wars game is accurate. What defines an open world game? I mean, I'll jump in straight away. I agree that it is not there. They are not the first open world Star Wars game. I've said it multiple times every time it gets brought up. Star Wars Old Republic exists. It is an open world MMO. It is a Star Wars game. It exists. Now, granted,
What makes an open world game?
What makes an open world game? I mean, an open world?
I was going to say a world that's open.
Yeah. So there was a bit of a discussion around this that happened in Discord afterwards, and games like what's the second Jedi game? I don't remember. What's the first
Survivor.
one?
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor, because you do have like open world-ish areas in that. For me, in open world, like I would count that as like a hub area, and then you go off into splintered paths. I don't count that as an open world. For me, is like, here's the big map, choose to go where you want to go, and I don't think stuff like that counts. I think you have this sort of mix between a semi-open world and a Metroidvania experience that sort of clash and become like this whole its own thing, and I don't think a game like that I would qualify as it. I think you get a big open map. You can go anywhere in that map. It can even be multiple different maps, but those maps have to be big and expansive and sort of let you go wherever you want at your own pace.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, I think we mentioned Grand Theft Auto a moment ago, like having one like map that you can go from A to B in one fluid moment would class as an open world game to me. So things like, say, Grand Theft Auto, the one that jumps straight into my mind is stuff like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and things like that.
Elden Ring?
Elden Ring,
yes. Then an interesting question. Far Cry, would you count that as an open world?
Yes.
Even if the map is segmented and you can't access it all at once? Because I think from the way we've described it, that would be like a counter argument that you could make.
So
you
Far Cry game.
Far Cry 4 or whatever. Far Cry 4 or whatever, you can't. I think several of the Far Cry games, you can't just like fly through the whole entire map. It's sectioned off and you have to progress the story to a certain point, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like there's a certain mission you have to do to then go beyond the fence or something like that. No, that's still an open. To me, they're still open world games. Like, I don't have a problem with you. I prefer when you don't do that and you just punish me for going in those areas. But Far Cry is one of those hard games. Really, you can beat the entire game with a pistol, right? Like, like if you wanted to. So no, that's still an open world game to me.
That's just that is an open
yeah.
world. It's just with extra steps to get to that world. It's like, but when you get to it, it's all open. You can still go from A to B by that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, it's being able to freely go wherever I want on this huge section of a map. Without much or any barrier to entry. You know, so games that come to mind are Elden Ring, obviously GTA, Red Dead Redemption, stuff like that. I don't. Star Wars. I agree with you. These hub worlds that are they're not even the main. Like, if it was like the main, that was where you kept going back to, maybe I'd make the argument. But no.
I think because then you have to go back to, was it the first Tomb Raider or the second Tomb Raider from the remake that did have a hub area like that?
Second one, I think.
The second one. And like, I think then with like that argument, you'd have to argue that that's an open world game, or even go to like something like Ratchet and Clank and claim that those are open world games. And I would never consider any of those. They have open like semi-open world like sections, but I still wouldn't describe the whole game as an open world game.
Yeah, with those ones, absolutely. I think the problem with things like you say with Tomb Raider, it is a linear path. So when you get into that area, it's like you are going A to B, and that is it. I think it's the freedom of choice that kind of solidifies whether it's an open world or not. Like, there's obviously, as you got missions and you have to do those missions in these areas, but if you can choose which area you would go to and how you do that, and then I think that's what classes an open world. Like, there's still a story structure in there that will guide you, but I think it's the freedom to do that in what order you want. I think kind of classes it as an open world to me.
I wouldn't classify either of the God of Wars as open world games either.
No, because again, linear path.
I think those like follow that same like idea where you do have like areas where it expands and you can go multiple different paths, but I still wouldn't classify that as an open world either.
Absolutely. Cool. Next question, cool.
Next up, we have a few from Origin Cookie Man. So first off, do I have to kick a nan down some stairs whilst holding a mobile phone connected to Twitter to have questions answered via tweets? No, you don't.
Maybe.
It might,
you gotta kick one nan.
Yeah, you gotta kick one nan for every question. I mean, we'll get them answered quicker, but no. Thank you for your question. Next up, he also asks, in case the algorithm is truly broken, if Forza Horizon 5 has had 40 million players across its lifespan, how many more will it have via cloud streaming after an Amazon Prime Day sized marketing push? You're assuming that Xbox is going to do a marketing push.
Yeah. Well, Amazon Prime Day already passed.
Yeah, Prime Day's already passed.
Prime Day's been gone.
Again, didn't see any marketing push to say, Game Pass is now on cloud Amazon Prime, and you can go get a Prime stick for cheap, which you could. I think for like 30 quid.
Amazon Prime Day. Yeah. It won't increase that much. Force is like an older game at this point, and then B, I don't think there's going to be as many new people that would buy an Amazon stick just for Forza. I do think that there probably are people who are like, oh, the Amazon stick's on sale right now, I'm going to buy it. And maybe they did play Forza, but I don't think it's going to add to that number all that much.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be
thousands, people, not millions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't see that number jumping to an extra million just off of Amazon Prime. Then actually, I've noticed he's got a lot of questions in here. Origin coming in.
We're only doing two.
We're only doing two. All right, you're done.
I went back and picked every question.
Every single question.
We're only doing two.
But he's got some good ones here. I've got a good one here. I do want to talk about.
We can do them in the future.
Okay, next week. Okay, next week. Tune in next week for all your questions. But yeah, that's it then. It's all Origin this week.
Oh, one more. Give me one more.
Okay. Has a video game soundtrack ever convinced you to try a game?
No. I've had video game soundtracks that have enhanced my experience while playing a game, but I've never been like, oh my god, this composer is making the soundtrack for this game, so I have to then play this game. But you've got to remember the genre of music in which I mainly listen to, which is hip-hop/rap. There's not many of those games out there that exist where You've had I've been happy when I see the NBA. The NBA usually do like this person's curated the playlist. Like I'm like, yay, thanks LeBron. Appreciate you putting on this song or this song, And like, I always get hyped when I hear P Money on FIFA or something like that. But no, I've not had a game soundtrack like this person's making this, so I'm going to play it now. No.
Had soundtracks make me want to go back to a game where like I'll hear a song and I'm like, oh, that makes me like really want to go back to like if I hear a Persona song or something like that, I'm like, oh, maybe I should play Persona again or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've never heard a soundtrack and be like, oh, that soundtrack's really good. I'm going to try the game. Maybe it'll make me look at the game, but I'm never going to try it solely off of a soundtrack.
Yeah, there is some amazing soundtracks out there, but like you guys, I don't think there's ever been a soundtrack that has convinced me to play a game. I think there's been a soundtrack that's convinced me to stay with a game, but never like stick with it, like never start it. I think a very niche version is No Man's Sky. Like I was going to play that game regardless, but the soundtrack to that game is from a band I love, a band called 65 Days of Static, and what they did with their soundtrack is beautiful. So I've definitely spent my time listening to that soundtrack. But yeah, I've never once gone, ooh, this is a good soundtrack. I should play that game. It's always been the other way around. It's always been like, this is a good soundtrack in this game. I'm going to listen to this soundtrack outside it. Like Final Fantasy VII is a prime example of that. I have many a time just sat down and listened to the Final Fantasy. I've got it on vinyl. I could dig it out if I needed to. But I've got the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I've never listened to that soundtrack and go, I should play Final Fantasy at some point because, I love Final Fantasy. But yeah, it's always been the soundtrack has always been the secondary part of it. It's never been the prime reason. But yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Cool. And yeah, so you are welcome. We'll save the rest of the questions for next week.
Yep.
Guys, let's get out of here. Plug. Fix, what are you going to plug?
You can find me everywhere at MC Fixer. I'll be on holiday again for another week. I might be live on Twitch a couple of those days. I don't know. We're going to go see Haley's cousin, so that's going to be fun. And then I might be away again after this.
This guy.
Fix is turning into Matt. Fix is turning into Matt.
No. See, Fix turns up still.
There's a difference. I still work, all right? I still work. But I might, yeah. So we'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, there'll be an episode next week, no problems. And then we will figure it out from there. But yeah, find me everywhere at MC Fixer.
Crash?
Podcast services, you can leave reviews and ideally a 5-star review. If it's not a 5-star review, Fix will find you and kick you and your nan down the stairs, he said.
I've just had a thought, Crash. I forgot. I've got 2 victims in the other room who have iPhones, who haven't. There's a lot of people out here in Texas who I'm going to be like, hey, can I borrow your phone for a second to review my podcast? So expect some new reviews, Crash. Don't worry. I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got you.
From this FC Mixer US.
FC Mixer US. Leave us some reviews. You can put in your thoughts, your criticisms, whatever else you want to put into the review, or just leave the 5 stars. We're fine with any of those options.
Either works.
I specifically want poems from people. I want all reviews in this as a haiku. So if we could get that, that'd be great. For me, I'm gonna just be greedy and plug myself for a change. It's not often I do this. Just Paul Despawn everywhere, specifically on Twitch. I am trying to get into a bit more streaming stuff on my own channel, just because there's certain games that I don't think we cover and I want to play them. But then also I just want to play Once Human constantly. And I just need an excuse to do that. So yeah, come and hang out and get your drops. There's drops at the moment, which is great.
Drops. Till next time, I love you, leave you. See you later. Good boys.